Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Tween Club Read Aloud. Super cool of you to come back again, or if it's your first time. Hi, my name's Katrina, and every week on Tuesday at 11 a.m., I'm going to be reading from one of my personal favorite books in a different genre every single week, so be sure to always check back for that. I am going to be waiting for at least 2-3 minutes just to see if anybody else arrives. And during that time, I thought I could talk a little bit about the book that we'll be reading today, as well as a little bit of the programming coming up. So first of all, this is the book that we are reading today. It is called Flambe and the Marco Polo Murders. It really has some really fun artwork. That's actually one of my favorite parts about this book, is its super cool artwork. So as you can see right here in the book jacket, you can see all of this really cool artwork. That's the journeys of Marco Polo. Marco Polo plays a really big role in this book. If you don't know who Marco Polo is, he is a very famed adventurer. So this is the journey of Marco Polo. But then, as you can see at the end, it says wrong, and then they have redone the entire Marco Polo journey based off of the book and the adventures. So that's a super fun thing about the book. There are lots of really cool illustrations within it. I'll be sure to show you as we go, just like that. And yeah, this is a super cool book. It is a mystery novel. Sorry, I really enjoy some of the cartoons that they have in it. So yes, it's a mystery novel, and it has to do with Marco Polo, but it also has a lot to do with cooking because the main character, Flambe, he is a chef. So I guess I will get started and then stick around to the end. I can talk a little bit about what we have coming up this week, as well as what you can find already on our YouTube and social media. So one moment. All right, so welcome back to Tween Club Read Aloud for anybody who is just joining us now. My name is Katrina, and today we are going to be focusing on books in the mystery genre. So a mystery novel ends with those questions being answered. So the novel that we are reading is Flambe and the Marco Polo Murders by Kevin Sylvester. So the Marco Polo Murders is the first book in the Flambe Capers series, which follows a talented young chef who solves crimes in his spare time using his super sense of smell. So the Flambe Capers is probably one of my favorite books growing up. As you can see, it was one of the Silver Birch Awards official selections. That's actually how I found it. So if anybody reads Silver Birch at their schools, this was one of the ones that I read when I was in elementary school. And it's a really fun, super cool mystery adventure. So I'm actually going to be starting at the prologue, and then I will read into chapter 1. So this is only a snippet of the book. There's lots more for you to discover if you enjoy what you hear today. So again, this is Flambe and the Marco Polo Murders by Kevin Sylvester, and it is brought to you by, sorry, one moment, K. Porter Books Limited. Antonio Fusilli looked up from his desk. Someone had just entered the intersectum, the Marco Polo Library in the Museo d'Arte Oriental in Venice, and Antonio was not impressed. First of all, this was a private library, with visits by there was the way the person was dressed. His or her face, head, and body were completely covered behind a large fedora, scarf, and trench coat. "Do you know that this is spring?" Fusilli called through the office door. "Why do you dress so ridiculously?" Antonio himself was impeccably dressed, as always, and this person offended his fashion standards. The figure moved towards him but said nothing. "Please leave," Antonio said. This place was more than an office for him. He was, after all, the descendant of Marco Polo. This was sacred ground. Again, the figure said nothing. But this time, a gloved hand emerged from the trench coat, holding a thick wad of euros. Antonio relaxed his stand and walked into the main hallway. "Why do you offer me such a generous amount of cash?" he smiled. "I want the book." The voice was soft and scratchy. Antonio couldn't tell if it was coming from a man, a woman, or even a child. "What book?" Antonio shrugged, looking around. "This is a library. We have hundreds of books." The figure grabbed Antonio by the neck and leaned close to his face. The person was wearing a carnival mask. Ridiculous. "Bruto," the voice croaked. "Polo's secret notebook, you idiot. The one he wrote on his journey home from China." Antonio felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Polo decided that story of the journey was of no value, Antonio lied. The figure hissed through his scarf. "Silento. You know and I know that he kept a notebook and that it survived," menacingly. Antonio grasped as his throat constricted. "If you kill me, you'll never find it." "So you admit it exists." The figure lets go. Antonio grabbed his throat, nodding his head in affirmation. "Yes, cough. It exists," he said, "and you can have a look for 5 minutes, but it will cost you twice as much euros as you have offered." Without flinching, the figure rolled out an even larger packet of bills and placed it in Antonio's hand. "This is 4 times as much," said the voice, "for 15 minutes. Antonio took a deep breath. "See, 15 minutes. But then you leave and never come back." "Agreed." Antonio readjusted his tie. Ordinary enough, but it was actually the first step in Antonio's security system. The seat contained a sensor. If someone sitting there stood up, the sudden loss of weight would set off an alarm, summoning the police. And as you can see, this is the masked figure who we're dealing with. "Wait here and don't move," Antonio said. He made his way down the hall lined with bookshelves. A vault door stood at the far end. Antonio looked back. The figure was sitting in a chair, reading a book. Antonio took out a ring with 3 gold keys. He inserted the first key into the vault door. With a click of metal on metal, the door slid open. Antonio looked back. The figure was still seated, reading another book. Antonio stepped inside the vault, letting the door close behind him. Then he gently lifted the edge of an ornate Parisian rug. Underneath was a trap door. The second key opened that. Resting inside the secret compartment was a gold box. It was decorated with emerald-eyed angels and mermaids, delicately wrought with sundials, diamond-studded wind roses, and carved sailing ships. Any thief who managed to get this far would grab the beautiful box, thinking it was treasure. That, however, would be a mistake. The box was bolted to the floor. Tugging it would release a spring-loaded knife. Antonio chuckled, aimed right at the heart. The golden figure that adorned the top of the box was actually a clever combination lock. Antonio turned the arms on the wind roses and the sundial to a combination that he alone knew. With a click, the lid opened. Antonio pulled out the final key and placed it inside the lock on the small, plain tin box that lay inside. He turned the key and opened the lid. Antonio leaned down and carefully lifted out the real treasure, a tiny leather notebook. For centuries, his family had kept hidden from the outside world. The great Marco's servant, Peter, had burned the original, according to Marco's instructions. But Peter had also betrayed his master's wishes and made a copy. Actually, he had made 2, one for himself in his own Mongol language, and one in Italian for Marita, the Polo daughter he loved dearly. "Ah, amor," Antonio sighed, carefully touching the cover. "You can be so cruel." Marita had had jewels and wealth. Peter had wanted to give her something no other suitor could offer, a glimpse into the part of her father's past that he alone knew. But when Marita read the notebook and discovered the terrible secret that lay within, she rejected Peter's love token and Peter himself. Heartbroken, Peter had returned to Asia and disappeared, along with his copy of the notebook. Then it was Marita's turn to be heartbroken. She realized, too late, that she had rejected the one man she truly loved. And, as much as she hated the story the notebook told, Marita could not bring herself to destroy it. It was the only link she had to the man she had lost forever. Antonio knelt on the floor of the vault, holding the family heirloom. With my apologies, dearest ancestor Morita, I will now use this to secure my retirement. Antonio knew no one could unlock the notebook's secrets in a mere 15 minutes. This is what the notebook looks like. He would end the day rich, and the mysterious figure would end the day disappointed. Antonio stood up and turned around. He stopped cold. The visitor blocked the vault's doorway, a gun sticking out from underneath the large trench coat. Santa Maria, gasped Antonio, staring past the barrel of the gun and down the hallway to the empty chair. Except it wasn't empty. There was a neat pile of books where the visitor was supposed to be sitting. How? Antonio gawked. Simple, the figure rasped. I added one book after another and slowly lifted myself off the chair. I happen to be an expert in weights and measures. Antonio had to think quickly. He glanced around the room, trying not to let his panic show. There was one last alarm he could trigger, a button near the trap door. And what will you do now with the notebook? He asked, inching towards the opening. You'll have to find out from the afterlife. Ciao, said the figure, as he pulled the trigger. Antonio made a final lunge towards the alarm. The bullet narrowly missed the precious book, but it did not miss Antonio's heart. He fell, dead, his fingers grazing the button. The alarm rang out, and the vault door began to close. The figure leaped over Antonio's body, grabbed the notebook and the money, and narrowly made it out as the door before it slammed shut. By the time the police arrived, the strange visitor was gone. Chapter 1. Salmon or Salmonella? Neil Flambe stood in his kitchen and took a deep breath. Was perfection too much to ask, he wondered. He spoke slowly into the phone. Gunter, the salmon you sent me is just The salmon you sent me is just this side of rotten. I have 20 people expecting fantastic fish tonight. They are not expecting a side dish of food poisoning. The man on the other end of the receiver held the phone away from his ear. It was Gunter Lund, a famous chef in his native Germany, before burning out 5 years ago with a pitched battle with a stubborn batch of brothwurst sausages. He moved to Vancouver to escape the stress. There's Neil, yelling into the phone, and had started his own seafood distribution business. But clients like Flambe made him wonder if it wasn't a good time to go back to cooking. He felt a shot of pain in his stomach. His doctor had warned him about stress and ulcers. It's not any 14-year-old who can talk to me in that tone of voice, he thought. That was certainly true, but Neil Flambe was not any 14-year-old. He had his own restaurant, his own line of cooking pans, and his picture was on the front of the latest cover of Chef magazine, under the headline, Is There Anything This Boy Can't Cook? Neil Flambe was a star. Another of Flambe's talents, he can make an ordinary cell phone sound like a megaphone. Hello? Gunter, are you still there? I need a different fish. Gunter wanted desperately to hang up. Instead, he tried another approach. Neil, please calm down. The man on the boat assured me he caught the fish this morning. Floating on top of an oil slick, Neil yelled. Listen, I have the top food critics from all the major newspapers coming to dinner tonight, as well as the Spanish ambassador. If I serve them toxic fish to my guests, it will kill them. You're exaggerating, Neil, Lund said, struggling to stay calm. If it was fine when it left here, It's only a few minutes to your restaurant. Neil took a deep breath, prepping for another assault on Gunter's ears. But if you insist, Gunter continued quickly, deciding it was probably best just to give in. I'll send over another fish right away. There was a short silence. You'll send two, Neil said firmly. Lund paused. His stomach started to churn, and he knew he needed to pop another antacid or 5 when he finally got off the phone. Flambe was one of his best, at least one of his best-paying customers. He'd fork over plenty for a good salmon. The only problem was that he was a royal pain in the rear end. Lund rubbed his fingers on his throbbing temple. Yes, fine, 2, he said. The line clicked and Flambe was gone. He doesn't even say danke. Lund muttered angrily. He turned in his chair and yelled out the window to his partner Renee, who was sitting on the dock fixing her nets. I need 2 salmon right away, Lund shouted. Start flipping. If you find any like that, he burped. And bring me some antacid too. So that is the end of chapter 1. Here's one of the salmon. That's one of the really fun things is that I think Kevin Sylvester actually does all of the drawings within this book. So I really hope you enjoyed what we read so far today. And if you really enjoyed it, then you can check out this book as well as the rest of the series from the library. This is a series, as you can see. Can you see? Yes, you can. Right here we have the second book in the series. So there are lots of adventures with Neil Flambe, lots of different cool ones that have to do with cooking, as well as some history, which I think is pretty awesome. So I have some other books that I'd like to recommend to you today. So if you are looking for books similar to Neil Flambe and the Marco Polo Murderers, I would suggest the Enola Holmes series by Nancy Springer, which follows the younger sister of the famed detective Sherlock Holmes. And she is just as cunning as her older brother. So I believe that those are actually available through Overdrive. They are ebooks, which is a super cool way to have those books available to you. I would also suggest the 39 Clues series. As you can see, we have one behind me, which follows Amy and Dan Cahill, a pair of siblings, on a hunt around the world to find the cryptic clues from their grandmother's mysterious fortune. And the cool thing about the 39 Clues series is that it doesn't actually have one author. A lot of different authors go and take turns writing different books in the series. So that's a super cool thing about it. The one behind me is by Jude Watson, and it is actually a separate book from the actual 39 Clues series, but there are lots of different books in that particular series. Also behind me, I have The Secret of the Old Clock by Nancy Drew. Not by Nancy Drew. It's a Nancy Drew story, and it's by Carol King. So that's another one. So again, that is The Neil Flambe Capers by Kevin Sylvester, the Enola Holmes series by Nancy Springer, and the 39 Clues series by various authors, and the Nancy Drew series by Carol King. Okay, awesome. So I really hope that you all enjoyed. Be sure to leave us your comments in the little box right here. I'd really love to hear what you thought of the book today, or if you have any books that you would like to suggest in the mystery genre, or really in any genre, it's up to you. Any books that you might enjoy. So just as we do this, I thought we could talk a little bit about what's coming up this week. So we have coming up later today, we have a craft, and that is with Allison, and she created this really cool how to make your own snow in summer, which is super awesome. Let's see, yesterday we released a Bookish Games, which you can find on Facebook and Instagram, same with the craft, by the way. And that is a scavenger hunt, and it's sort of connected to the books that we did today because it's a mystery hunt where you can look for clues to help solve a mystery, which is super cool. We have animal trivia on Thursday. We have, of course, some science videos coming out on Wednesday. Writing prompts are going to be posted to Facebook and Instagram. Let me see. We have our virtual read-alongs. We have some with Shannon, and we have our feature guest Friday. And then we also have our Fame Friday. So we'd really love for you to submit something for Fame Friday. Basically, if you do any of our activities throughout the week and you submit it to libraryprograms@orangeville.ca, that's the email, or you can use the hashtag OPLReads2020 on social media. If you use those, then we will feature them in our Fame Friday videos, and you will be entered for a chance to win in a draw for a free book. And that's not just an average library book. That is a free book that you get to take home with you and you get to keep. So it seems that we are coming to the end. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. See you next week. Bye.